every time I put a title, it does something stupid. Okay, hold on. I think it's going. Oh no, I think we live now.
Damn, we live on Facebook.
Heck yeah, we are.
know
Hello,
you could do that.
everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Leah Paulson here with my co-host.
I'm Justin Brown. Nice to see you all.
Yes, and we are super excited to introduce Kristian Krit Schmidt. He was born and grew up in New Zealand, has also lived in Australia, both coasts of the U.S. He has a background in law, Pacific studies, education, broadcasting, acting, you name it, pretty much. He has done it. He was also a Fulbright scholar and spent 2 years at Lehigh University, which is where I actually met him. Krit's a friend of mine. And we were actually RAs together back in the day. Long live the Hill House. He has also hosted for MTV and BET, done all sorts of cool stuff. So Krit, tell us about what you've been up to in this quarantine situation.
Oh man, wait, thank you first for having me, Leah. Thanks for inviting me to join us. It's so nice to see you again. What I was gonna say, what I've been doing, so you remember Kiana, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the RDs who left before we became RAs. Yeah, so I'm staying with Kiana right now. Because
Cool.
so I live in Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
but so I live with one roommate out there, but she's gone to stay with her boyfriend during this period, and so I was like, well, I don't want to isolate on my own for 2 months or however long this is going to do. So I hit up Kiana, and she was kind enough to let me come stay with her and her husband. So I've been out here just chilling with them, catching up on my stories, and just trying not to. Well, actually, I was gonna say try not to eat this house out of everything and stuff, but in actual fact my appetite has just kind of gone, like not gone completely, but it's hard to enjoy food, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just been trying to create a routine as best I can, whether that's waking up and doing a workout on FaceTime with my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
We do that every morning, and then obviously it's a lot of sleeping, a lot of meditating and writing, and a lot of FaceTime calls. Yeah, let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to stay connected.
Yeah. I hate that term. What is it? Social
distancing. Mm-hmm.
I don't like it.
It's crazy out there in LA though to do that.
Yeah, but it's like social, like we should be connecting socially, like
Mm-hmm.
social connectivity is what we should be doing. And I think more like physical distancing, and keep the social, going rather than.
I agree.
Yeah,
absolutely. I know. I wish they kind of started off, because now obviously social distancing is the socially acceptable term, but I kind of wish they had gone with physical distancing, because the social part, like you said, it doesn't have to go away. We should be connecting even more than we were, I think, in this
I don't know
situation.
Who comes up with these terms? I don't know who comes up with these terms, but anyway.
Someone high up in the government, who knows? But
everybody's
or
home.
In public health.
There's no reason why we shouldn't connect. Everyone is literally home.
Mm-hmm. You are not wrong about that.
There are some people out in these streets, let me tell you that. In Hollywood, they
no.
Oh
my gosh.
I don't know. Some people are not abiding by it, and it freaks me out. But you know what? You just got to take care of yourself. That's all you can control, right? Is your own actions, your own thoughts, your own emotions. Like that's all we have control over. So so I hope everyone's taking care of themselves.
Absolutely. Oh gosh. So tell us, obviously I listed a whole bunch of the education that you have, interests that you have. Tell us a little bit about your career path. Obviously you have a law degree, a master's in education, had a Fulbright, you've kind of lived all over the place. So tell everybody a little bit about kind of your path.
Oh man, my path's crazy. So I grew up in a city called Porirua, which is so the capital of New Zealand is Wellington. And Porirua is considered the hood to a lot of people where I'm from. So, I went to a school where it wasn't as resourceful as other schools in the area. And then when I finished high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but my mum was like, with that mouth of yours or whatever, you should go into law. So I was like, okay, I'll go to law school. So I applied to go to the University of Auckland. And we don't have money like that, and I didn't want to take out a loan, so I applied for scholarships. And this was crazy. Like my brother and sister, my older brother and sister, Mickey and Lainey, they had studied before me, but they weren't as I guess ruthless as I was, or just like, what's another way to put it? I don't know, just resourceful in terms of looking for ways to pay for my studies. You know, I was just like, I'm not doing it. I'm not working all these hours like that. Like, so I applied for scholarships without anyone really telling me how to or what to do. So I was just going through websites, and I got my teachers to sign off all these essays and stuff. And so I got one. And yeah, so I went to law school in Auckland. I moved out of Porirua, where my high school was like 400 students, right? And then I plopped myself right in the middle of this university that had 40,000. So it was like a big transition. You know, everybody knew me in my old high school. And then at my university, I was like, oh shit, no one knows who I am. And I was, you know, I felt like I was sinking. And so I got involved in everything I could, you know. And that, honestly, a lot of that just had to do with me needing to be seen. You know, I was like this person who always needed so much attention, you know, like that. And a lot of that had to come down to not feeling like I was enough, right? So I was in a dance crew. I joined the equivalent of like the what would you call them here? The reserves. Like I was in the army, you know, for like a year. And one of the things that really set me on the trajectory of where I ended up going in my career was a mentoring program that I got involved in, and it was called MATES. It stands for the Mentoring and Tutoring Education Scheme, and they'll pair you up with high school students in high schools that were like mine. So we call them low decile, because the New Zealand, they rank each school on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, 10 being the schools that have, you know, the highest, you know, the, like socioeconomic demographic of the students. And then my school was like a 2. So this program, they put you with a student, and every week you'd hang out with them for 3 hours and tutor them and just hang out and talk about life. And my background's Samoan, by the way, if anyone knows where that's at. It's in it's like a 3-hour flight from New Zealand.
Yeah, I think I've heard
Samoa. Yeah, there we go. So Samoa.
Never been there though. Want to go one day, so I guess I have a place to stay if I
But
go.
not right now. Yeah,
Well, Krit's in California, but
You know, we got time.
Well, you know what? They got 0 cases of corona. But anyway, we can talk about that later. So that mentoring program, yeah, it just ignited like a fire for me wanting to do more for my community and for students who had that experience of you know, going to a school and then coming to university not being prepared for what we're going into, and just and maybe feeling a bit isolated, you know, given we were the minority, you know, especially for me, you know, coming from a town where my school was 400 students. Like my graduating class was 18 students. Like that's crazy when you think about it. And only three of us went on to university, you know. So I graduated with a law degree and an arts degree, and then at the end of it, like I applied for law firms, and then I was like, you know what, I don't want to do this. Like the lawyers I know are miserable. Like I don't see myself sitting behind a desk and pushing paper. No disrespect at all to people who do that. Like there's nothing wrong with that, but I just knew that I wasn't. No, I just knew that wasn't my passion, you know. And I wanted to do more work with young people, and so I took up a role within the university instead. And it was over the next year and a bit, I was doing work with Māori and Pacific students, Māori being the indigenous people in New Zealand. And so while I was doing that, you know, a big part of my role was letting other students, minority students, know about opportunities, you know. And one time I was at a conference for Fulbright, and they were like, hey, let your students know that they can apply for this great program. Here's the eligibility criteria. And as I was listing it off, I was like, wait a minute, I can apply for this, you know. I was like, stuff my students, let me get it. No, I'm kidding. I didn't mean that. But, you know, I was like, let me go for this, you know. Because my background was in law and arts and I wanted to do more in education, I actually didn't have an academic background in education. So that's why I applied to do a Master of Education in the US. And that's how I found Lehigh, because the placement program who matched your study objectives with different universities in the States, because I had really no idea of any of the universities out there. They were the ones who found the College of Education at Lehigh. and they recommended the program and said, this would be a good fit for you and what you want to do. So, and they covered my tuition, which going back to being a little hustler I was like, well, yeah, shit, I'm going to go to the place that, that's going to cover my fees and all that. So, yeah, Fulbright was real instrumental in another huge chapter of my life, which was coming out there and just learning the things I did. And my focus was comparing, equity initiatives in the States for Black and Latinx students to initiatives back home, and seeing what I could take back home, what ideas I could use when I returned to New Zealand. So I did 2 years, and at Lehigh, oh my God, I did everything you could think of there as well. Like, me and Leah joined the rowing team, even though I got kicked off the rowing team because I was old, because I was a graduate student, and I was getting involved in a bunch of undergraduate stuff, like in terms of the extracurricular activities, because I wanted to experience their student life, Meanwhile, all my friends at grad school were like questioning me. They were like, "Is he really a student here?" And I was like, "Shut up!" But anyway, so I did that. I was in a bunch of stuff. Like, I even joined the rugby team, which everyone back home laughs at because I have not played a damn game in my life of rugby back in New Zealand. And I was, what else did I do? Man, I went to Israel and the West Bank. I went to Cambodia. I went to Ghana. Like, I took advantage of all the things that Lehigh had to offer. And then I was able to work for a year in Ohio as part of my visa, because it lets you get a year of work experience at something it had to be a job that was in the field of my expertise, which was education.
You're an RD, which is what me and Justin are.
Yeah.
Right?
I was an RD, yeah.
It's kind of a crazy
Man.
life. It's like, being in a nature documentary, you get to see the students' eating habits, their food habits. Unfortunately, sometimes you see their mating habits. Like, they release a cat on Fridays. Like, you see nature calls when they're just screaming for any reason, or when they're traveling in packs. We see their nature walks. That's crazy.
It was some of the craziest. Honestly, that year was one of the craziest in terms of the stuff I saw. Like, as an RA, I saw some crazy stuff. As an RD, I was like, man, I don't want to see this stuff again in my life. Yeah, we can talk about that later. But so I did that, and then once my 3 years in the States was up, I moved back to New Zealand, and I ended up lecturing in Pacific Studies back in New Zealand at the University of Auckland, where I got my degree. And then, because in the States, I spent a lot of time around family and friends who were in the entertainment scene. When I got back to New Zealand, I was lecturing, but I was like, oh man, I really want to pursue this career in entertainment, And I spoke it into existence. Like, I went on this nature walk with my friend, and I was like, this year I really want to make a go of it. And that's the power of just like that everyone has, to manifest your thoughts into reality, because that year this audition came up to become a presenter for MTV, and I went for it. And keep in mind, my ass is almost 30 at this stage, and I'm up against all these 18, 19-year-olds, and they're like, oh, you gotta, the way that you auditioned for it was you had to upload a 15-second video to Instagram saying why they should pick you. So, me being 29, not that this is an excuse, but I didn't have Instagram. I'm like, what? I was acting like that old person who's like on the phone, like, what? Like, Instagram. So I downloaded it, and I uploaded my video, and there were like 1,000 or so contestants, and they whittled it down to like 10. And then I came out the victor or whatever, or so I thought, because I started working in Australia. I had to move to Sydney, and I didn't have to, but I chose to move to Sydney to take up this role. And that was my first job in television, and straight away they had me interviewing all these A-listers. I'd never done it before, but I guess because I've never been shy, and I'd spent a bit of time around people who had profiles. It was an easy transition, and I loved it. Like, I love talking to people. I love getting stories out of them. I love making people, I love just having a laugh, I'm not that funny. Like, I'm not the type of person who has, like, my sense of humor. I'm not someone who's like, who could do stand-up or just make a room laugh, but I can be ridiculous, you know, and that in itself is what gets people, you know, just having fun. So I did that, but I honestly, that was a hard 2 years of my life, because I was just, Australia was, for television, is awful. And I was the only brown face on television, and I could feel it, you know. And anytime I try to open my mouth, because, you know, I'm working for this network, MTV, and it's like, you know, this is music television. It's supposed to be the voice of youth and things like that, and the voice of all these different issues. But I could never actually voice any of those issues because they didn't want to hear it. You know, I'm like, I got 3 degrees here. You know, I got all this life experience. Like, I can't talk about real stuff. And they were just like, nope, stick to the Kardashians and Justin Bieber, and you're good, you know? So I used to go back and forth with my manager a lot, and I wasn't happy. And I made it my goal to get back to the States and keep doing things back there. So after 2.5 years, I managed to find my way back to LA. Well, not back to LA, but back to the States. And I decided, you know, LA is the place to be. And then it was here that I was just like, that's when I really started, because I was unhappy in a lot of areas, that's when I started to really hit rock bottom, and just everything kind of built up. And it was like, damn, Kristian, what's going on? And that's when this is my low battery. Speaking of being crap with technology.
Get that charge.
Yeah. I know, right? But yeah, that's when I realized, man, you got some stuff to work through. And that's when I realized, you know, as I talked to you before about needing to be the center of attention and doing all these things, you know, and how that led my life down the path it did, you know, I had to really reel it back in and be like, Kristian, why do you need other people to validate you? Why are you so desperate to be seen and be known and things like that? So I've taken a step back and just really reflected on what I want to do next, and just being very intentional about the roles that I go for, or the things that I speak about, or the things that I post online, to make sure it's aligned with who I am now, you know, and my values now, and making sure that I don't do anything in the future that's going to make me unhappy, you know, and take me back to a place where I am just hating life, you know, and so that's where I'm at now, you know. Like, I'm 35 now, and I'm still, you know, and however old you guys are, just know that if you don't know what you want to do,
I'll look a day over 24, man. Maybe I'm just bad at ages, man. I'm just bad at ages right now. We all look like crap, man. We're on house arrest.
I know, right? I'm just saying, like, if I could get to the Bible, I would, you know, I'll make sure everything was on point. All right. But yeah, just know that it's okay if you don't know what you want to do right now. You got plenty of time. You can change your career path wherever. Don't ever feel like you're stuck in a certain spot. We all go through it, and yeah, you just do what your heart is telling you to do. You know, like, don't follow anyone else's dreams. Don't do something for your parents or for your partner. Like, you got to do it for yourself. That's the only way you're gonna be happy. And when you're happy, you can give more to your parents or your partner. You know, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate your honesty, being genuine as always. And we're gonna let some people, if they have any questions, to type them down here, and we'll like call on them to ask. But so I know since you've been out in LA, you've done a ton of interviewing for both like MTV, BET, like all sorts of different kind of like red carpet events and stuff like that. Do you have like a favorite interview or a most fun interview, or like what is your, you know, favorite, like where do you feel the most natural?
Oh man, that's crazy. That's so bad. I mean, they're definitely like, excuse me, they're definitely standout interviews. But it's almost like once they're done, like they're out of my head, you know, like I gotta get rid of them. And I'm like, okay, make space for the, you know, whatever's happening now. But who have I really enjoyed interviewing? I really enjoyed Don Cheadle. When the Avengers came out. He was funny, and he was like, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter, but if you do, he is so good at just getting trolls together.
He's so talented in so many different things. Like, the first time I experienced Don Cheadle was the movie Crash. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
Amazing film. I use it to teach diversity lessons, but yeah, he's very talented.
Oh man, Crash is, yeah, that's a heavy movie. And so is Hotel Rwanda, right? Like that's pretty heavy too, but he's funny as well, you know, like he's actually really funny.
Can't forget, you know, his best role, Iron Man 2. No. But yeah, he is in that movie though.
Damn. Yeah, so for the Avengers is where I interviewed him, and yeah, he was just funny, and you know, I was like, oh, what do you know, just, you know, what do you do for fun? He's like, crack. I'm like, damn, like, you know, I was like, he had me cracking up. But yeah, that was one of my favorites. Most recent one, and it's not to say it's my favorite, but it's memorable because Tiffany Haddish.
She's like hitting on you in every interview. She loves you.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think she got a fetish for Samoans. Oh, I'm not
she
even
was
playing.
She was hitting on you hard, and she was like, "You ready?" And you didn't answer, so I don't know.
I know her. I'm like, Tiffany, I don't know what you want, but I can't give it to you. But that's all right.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. And that wasn't so I know you have like a personal connection to Dwayne. Was he one of your first interviews, like when you kind of came over to the US?
That was when I moved to Sydney.
Like back, it was back in Sydney.
Yeah.
You did that. Mm-hmm.
So it was my very first junket, was with Dwayne, and the whole time he was just pretty much, he just kept flipping it on me, you know, just like, oh, tell him how you got a law degree, tell him how you're a great dancer, right? And I'm like, damn, like I'm trying to put on my best, you know, professional flipping face here. He just had me laughing, but it was a nice, it was a real nice gesture for him, and that was a pretty memorable interview too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very cool. It's so funny because you live in LA, but the only like so LA thing about you, I think, is that you're a vegan. But for example, like I feel like you're very vocal about your thoughts on like the dynamics of Hollywood and things like the Oscars. So I'm curious if you like want to share some of like the impactful maybe conversations or like interviews you've done about some of those things.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I'm vegan, but that's actually my best friend from New York who got me into that. There's no one out here who I would have gone vegan for. Yeah, but yeah, some of the things. Well, going back to my studies, you know, my background and my education and all the things that I didn't feel I could say at MTV, like now I can. You know, like I can talk about being in the industry and just all the politics of it. And so, a lot of the thought pieces, think pieces that I write, will be around that, you know, how Hollywood is just as trash. It's like it's so trash, you know, like, you know, going back to the things that I don't want to compromise. I don't want to play a different ethnicity, you know, like I'm not black. Like why have I got managers and casting directors asking me to read for roles of an experience that I've never had, you know, when there's so many talented black actors out there, it just doesn't make any sense, you know. And then when there are roles for Pacific people, you know, Samoans even, I'm like, this is so stereotypical. Like I'm not, like they want us to do these dances and these and just portray our island as a stereotype, you know. I'm not down for that either, you know. So it's one of those things where they have this idea of what they have an idea of what sells, and I don't want to do something just for money, you know, because I've done that before, you know, and it didn't make me happy, and it didn't make me feel good about just the messaging that I was sending out to people, you know, because when you do participate in that stuff, it's like you're saying this is okay, you know, and it's like, no, it's not okay. It's not okay to tell people that we're savages and we bite people's faces, you know, like in this day and age. It's like, no, like it's crazy. So, you know, a lot of people don't like what I have to say, and that's all right, because I know that at the end of the day, I can sleep at night knowing that I'm not hiding those parts of me, and I'm not being a hypocrite about the things I'm saying out there, and and the choices that I'm making in my life.
Yeah, like not reinforcing negative stereotypes and just like being true to yourself and your values, which I feel like is so sometimes hard to stick to, especially in Hollywood, when, you know, if you're going to be most successful if you conform to stereotype, or, you know, stereotypes or the public opinion or whatever that might be. But it's super important for people's voices to be heard, who have differing opinions. Yeah.
And
different
see,
values.
you're breaking down those barriers of, probably when people look at you and they just say, oh, look at this guy. They have no idea who you are, the experiences that you've been through, or the things that you're trying to put out there in the world. I mean, we got to stop making those judgments based upon what we see and just start really connecting with each other based on their experiences. I mean, you have international experience and domestic experiences. I mean, you have probably a background and an understanding and a development that some people who've never left this country probably would never understand had you not had that experience.
Yeah, and then to add to that, the friends that I have here and the conversations that I have with them, where they check my ignorances. For instance, my best friend, like that's really my mentor, and a lot of my, not even just in acting and being an artist and being an educator, like she really pushes me and challenges me to look at what's behind each of my choices and just challenge what all these opportunities that are being presented to me, and it's like, look at the privilege I have, like even though I'm a person of color and I'm gay as well, like I still have a lot of privilege in the spaces that I walk in because one, I'm from New Zealand, two, the color of my skin, I'm in what people might mistake me for black or mixed, like I still have a proximity to whiteness that someone who's black or Latinx might not have, so it's just all these things that I'm aware of, and when you know better, you do better, or you hope to do better, because I still stuff up a lot, I still make mistakes, and I'm trying to just stay in that space of being conscious of every decision that I make and how that impacts me and my relationships and my community and just the world, in terms of making it a better place, like what can we do to help, send out love and not ignorance or things that will just fuel discrimination and just keep perpetuate this harmful shit. Excuse my language.
Yeah. No. Oh, we got to stop. We got to take down those stereotypes. You know what I mean? I hate that saying. People think I'm crazy, but I hate the saying, be the change you want to see. I think it's complete crap. I absolutely hate it because I'm a very aggressive driver and I am trying to be fast so that other people can be fast so that we don't, I hate those people who just don't take the turn, but I take the turn. Just because I'm taking the turn doesn't mean that other people are. So being the change you want to see does nothing. So what I try to teach students is that you have to teach the change that you want to see, because if you start teaching it, then people can start understanding and developing that way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we got some students with some questions for you, Krit. So Will, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Sure. Hi, my name is Will. Thank you so much for being here. One of my questions are, do you see yourself as a leader, and what qualities do leaders typically have in this industry of entertainment?
Hey, thanks for your question, man. I like the Spider-Man that you got up in the morning. So
Thank
do
you.
I see myself as a leader? Yeah, I am a leader. Like I mean, I think I have. I think for so long I was so desperate to be one, and then now I can't not be one because I have influence over a lot of. I have influence. Do you say over? Yeah, I guess over a lot of young people, especially, and and a lot of people in my community, and just a lot of the people who follow me, and what I do. So, what are qualities of leaders in this industry? I mean, man, if you're talking entertainment specifically, and you're looking at who is, see, that's what I mean. Like, if you want to talk about leadership that I value, that's a different story to the leadership that is valued in Hollywood.
Oh no, that yes. I want to hear moral leadership, not just whatever people are doing for attention.
Yeah, because I mean, in short, whatever what leads Hollywood is what makes money. And whatever you're willing to do to make money, that's pretty much the standard in Hollywood. For me, I think it's people who do the opposite of that. They're leading. They want to. The people who just don't give SHIT. Here's me trying to censor myself now. The people who know who they are. They have something to say, and they're not afraid to say it. And also, what I always valued in leaders are people who aren't afraid to admit when they're wrong, you know, and they're okay with acknowledging their ignorances and then educating themselves and doing better, you know, like that's really important to me in a leader and just in a human being, you know, like I think everybody can work on that, you know, listening, being able to let messages land and being like, hey, this is, you know, rather than getting defensive, and we all get defensive, you know, just taking a minute to breathe and being like, all right, this person is saying something that I actually haven't processed or heard of before, or haven't given myself an opportunity to hear. And what can I do with this information? And how can I make sure that, how can I do better? Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. So we'll go to Rowan and then Maya. So Rowan, if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, my question for you is, what is the biggest lesson you've learned in your life? Like through entertainment or throughout like law school, anything like that?
Good question. I think the biggest lesson is really just, you can't, man, the only way to fix anything or to heal anything, or to do better is through honesty. Like, you know, the truth is the only thing that's ever gonna set you free from anything you're carrying, any trauma that you have. Like, you have to be really honest with yourself. And when you're in a bind in a relationship or whatever, like the only thing that is gonna help you in that is by being honest with the other person or with your family or with your partner or whatever, you know, like that's helped me a lot. You know, and even in going back to when I look back in my career, you know, what are the things that I could have done that would have led me down healthier choices, or, you know, like I said, like me searching for attention all the time and being so desperate, you know, if I was honest with myself at the time, I would have known that the reasons I'm doing this is because I'm not happy with myself, and maybe then I would have gone and got help, you know, and that would have saved me so much just pain and suffering, you know. But I had to do that to be able to get to the place I am now. So yeah, but that just is a lesson for me to be like, okay, so moving forward, the honesty is what's going to stop me from going down those paths again.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, bro.
Maya has two really great questions for you. So Maya, you're up.
Maya, speak on it, girl.
Questions.
Hi, I'm actually typing another question.
Yeah, type it. Listen, this is all you. I mean, all these questions are here, so you got the stage, girl. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
She's still typing. She's still typing.
Okay. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, we need a transcript of this.
Can I just say I'm still really mad that y'all are putting this on Facebook when my hair looks like this. Sorry. Go ahead, Maya.
My first question is, do you think that you've made an impact on the Australian entertainment industry by becoming an advocate or a role model for brown people in the field, or who want to be in the field, since you've moved from Australia to LA?
Have I made an impact on the industry or on people who want to be in the industry, or is it both? Why can I say both?
I can read it. Do you think you've made an impact on the Australian entertainment industry by becoming a role model for brown people wanting to be in the field, or just like, you know?
Yeah, no, I get you. I don't think I've made an impact on the Australian industry per se, you know, but I do think there are young people in both New Zealand and Australia who have watched my journey and continue to kind of see the things that I talk about, who have those things in mind. You know, I still have people who hit me up and ask me questions and ask me for advice. So, you know, it might not be like a million people, but for me, like just helping those few people, it's like, you know, these people will help spread these values, you know, and will help will just help build upon what the ideas that I've been able to pass on to them. And you know, as I think I think it's so much harder to influence the minds of adults who are so set in their ways, you know, and not to say it can't be done, but I feel like, you know, I'm getting older, and because I'm not working in universities now, I'm not as in touch with the students as I used to be, like especially high school students. So it's important for me to be able to do that for people who are and take up opportunities where I am in front of high school students, so that they can kind of make those impressions, you know, because and especially given this generation, like young people are so smart and they're so much more aware of what's going on, and they're just so much more conscious of issues that my generation weren't necessarily, you know, when I think about the things that we talked about. And just the information that's going around too is so whoops around crazy.
I had another question.
Well, go ahead.
So being in the entertainment business, I don't know if you can hear me, working for MTV, do you think there's a lot of competition in the field? And how would you set yourself apart from others if you wanted to pursue a career in the field?
Yeah. Once again, this goes back to what you want to achieve and what you want, you know, like if you want to succeed in the machine as it is, you know, you gotta basically you have to do what they want you to do, you know, you got to do what sells, you got to do what makes money. So that didn't make me happy. So for me, I always tell people, if you don't want to lose yourself, you really have to know who you are, you know, and going back to being honest, you know, just be yourself. You know, you might not know who that is, and that means you got to sit down, write it out, pray it out, meditate it out, or whatever, and just really get to know what it is you represent and what is your voice, because we are all unique, you know, no two people are alike. So just by that alone, you're different and you stand out from everyone else. And so why wouldn't you value that and be yourself? You know, why try to be someone else? Because you're never going to be better than them at being them, you know. So you just got to be yourself.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the questions.
Yeah. So Krit, I know your family is super important to you, and you've been across, well, I wouldn't even say across the ocean. I'm trying to think of my geography. I guess it is across the ocean if you're thinking the other direction. You're probably closer now than you were when you were in Pennsylvania, right? Like being in LA, because you would have to fly cross country and then go to like New Zealand. Over ocean.
Yeah. Overseas. Yeah.
So has your like communication with them like changed or gotten better or anything, like while you've been, you know, kind of quarantined, not able to do too much else? Like how has that been for you?
It's been good. I've definitely been checking on my family every day. My brother isn't talking to me at the moment.
Oh no.
He's ridiculous. But aside from that, you know, back when I was at Lehigh, I was on Skype all the time, crazy hours of the night. And with the time difference, the time difference here is so much better because it's only a 3 or 4 hours difference depending on daylight savings. Whereas in Pennsylvania, it was like 7 to 8 hours difference. And so it was messing up my sleep patterns all the time. But yeah, my family is very important to me, and they are still busy though. You know, like my sister's got 2 kids, and she's got stepdaughters too, and so she's busy making sure they're doing their schoolwork and that. But I'll still be FaceTiming them, and even if it's just to watch them drawing or whatever, you know, and while I'm doing my own thing, it's nice to just know that they're there. And my mom, you know, she's studying at the moment, so she's my mom's, what are we, 2020? She's 69 this year, and she just went back to university, so she's in her 2nd year, and she's loving being in the classroom setting again and writing essays and that. So it's nice to have those conversations with her, you know, because she's taking sociology courses, she's taking history courses, and just the things that we talk about around her papers and what she's writing about. It's nice to connect on that level as well, yeah. But it all comes down to in terms of our relationship and the closeness we have. It comes down to just over the last few years, me being more honest with myself I've been able to be more honest with my family, and it's just brought us closer.
I love that. Thank you so much.
So,
You're
Krit,
welcome.
I guess my question would be, if there was one thing that you learned more about yourself through this entire experience, not what you learned along the way, not what skills you were able to pick up, what did you learn about yourself?
What have I learned about myself is that that the only thing holding me back is me, you know, and also I have the power to create whatever experience I want, you know, like, but I have to be able to let go of all this other crap to in order to do that, you know, and I think that's what it is. Like, we all have greatness, right? But you can only operate from that place of greatness if you make space for it, you know, which means you got to let go of a lot of crap, a lot of habits, you know, that don't serve you anymore, a lot of behaviors that don't serve you anymore. And it's hard, you know, but at the end of the day, if you can get through that hard, that rough, you know, just push of having to do all that, it actually is going to make your life easier in the long run. So yeah, I think that's a big thing that I learned.
Krit is with us, everybody. This program was brought to you by Residence Life and Housing Services. Krit, how can people follow you online? Like, what are your social media handles? Like, I'm about to follow you right now, so when I do it, you better follow back, because I know you're there, and I'm trying to have some more things. So how can people follow you online, man? Let us know.
Hey, so it's just at What Would Krit Do? So that's my nickname, Krit. So What Would Krit Do? That's on everything.
Yes.
I'm on IG right now, so when you see me.
Oh my gosh, and before we sign off, I feel like I had to mention Krit came here. Oh, Justin, make me co-host so I can share it. But Krit's been to Westchester. He came to visit. He was here in Schmidt Hall. I was just gonna show. You disabled my screen sharing. It's fine. I'll show Krit.
No, I got it. I just made you co-host.
Oh, okay, it worked. Here we are. Look at that in the lovely Schmidt Hall. There were lots of college photos I can choose from, but yes, just wanted to share that here in Schmidt.
And we have
so if you're ever back here, you know, stop on by. I'm sure these people would love to meet you, and I would obviously love to see you again.
There it is.
I'd love to.
There it is. My phone's being stupid. It's not letting me show it. Like, I could be right now. There you go. Followed you. So, Krit, we're going to allow you to take it out. We allow all of our speakers to just have the final say. Like, what's the one thing that you want the students to take away from this? Like, what's the one, like, key to life? Like, this is all you, man. This is all you, man. So we don't give people the time to prepare this. We want it to be straight from the heart, unique, authentic. So 3, 2, 1, you're on.
I think just repeat what I said before, is just, you know, we all come from greatness, right? And just to do whatever it takes to believe that, you know, just know that you are enough. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Krit. We appreciate you.
We do appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Again, this program was brought to you by Residence Life and Housing Services. Krit, this is not the last time we'll see you. I hope we can have you here in the fall, have you on campus. I mean, for real. Thank you all for coming out. Am I able to share my screen?
You're the host, so I would think so.
Able to. Give me 1 second, because we got 2 cool speakers coming up tomorrow that we also want you to be a part of. So if you are free tomorrow, all right, let me see. I can pull this up. Man, I should have been ready. I wasn't ready. Okay. John Allen. Whoa. All right. At the bottom here, John Allen and Mark Sipka. They will be here tomorrow. Tell us a little bit about John, Leah.
He is the co-founder of Ivoriella, which is like a philanthropic clothing brand.
Yeah. And Mark Sipka is a comedian. So if you like to laugh, I mean, I laughed today a few times. So from Krit, and definitely from Gary Anthony Williams and all them earlier. So please come out and see us tomorrow. Thanks again, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow. Thank you, Krit.
All right.